Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Sunday. This is Devils After Dark, coming to you live from American Whiskey, upstairs at the attic. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Scotty of Sirius XM, Liquid Metal, Short Sky from the Sunday Show and Game Day Live, and the State of the Fan address presented by pucksandpitchforks.com. Nick Villano, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network as the Devils lose tonight, Game 4, 5-2 against the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah.
We had a good run there in the second period.
We did.
We had a good run in the second period, but overall, you know what? They just didn't do enough, and the Canes kind of beat them at their own game when it comes down to it, and you start looking at the stats. Hello, everyone on YouTube and X and Facebook and Instagram. Let's just do a quick recap and get everyone's reactions here to the game. The Canes started out hot here. They got 2 goals in the first period. Svechnikov and Slavin, both getting goals. Cody Glass putting one behind the net, but getting called for an offsides penalty. Svechnikov gets a power play goal, so the Devils have been out-power played in this entire series. Even, we've talked about their penalty kill being such a factor for them, but the Canes, I think, have scored a power play goal in every game so far. They added another one tonight there to go up 3-0, 42 seconds into the second period. The captain finally gets things going. Nico Hischier gets his third of the year about 2 minutes after that. And then Timo Meier, give me fuel, give me fire, give me goals from Timo Meier. He gets his first of the playoffs, but don't mistake, Timo's had a great day because he also assisted on Nico's goal before that. So 2-point day for Nico Hischier to make it 3-2, but kind of a bad play in the third by Jacob Markstrom, misplaying the puck, trying to get it up the boards and out, passes it right back to the Canes, turnover, and Brett Burns kind of pokes one through the 5-hole there, and it trickles in the back of the net, and then, Devils pull Markey with about 3 or 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
Thought it might have been a little early, and the Canes just turn around at 16:43 and just put one into the empty net to seal the deal at 5-2, but Devils just didn't have enough in that third period. I kept turning to the cookie man over here and saying they need more offense. They got to do something other than this, they just didn't get any really, really high-quality chances going. And you look at these stats, the Devils lost in the face-off circle today. 41 face-off wins for the Carolina Hurricanes to the Devils 29. Canes were 1 for 3 on the power play. Devils, again, 0 for the Jersey everything bagel with cream cheese once again on the power play. 0 for 2. The Devils even got out-hit. So Carolina came out and they played physical. We know the Devils thought, hey, let's just out-muscle them like they did in Game 3, but Carolina actually out-hit them 35-31. That number was a little bit more skewed until the end of the game. The Devils got a couple hits to kind of rack it up there near the end. 21 block shots, light seeing that. 15 giveaways by this team, and you can't do that to Carolina. Shots on goal for the Devils tonight. Remember, last night they had 37, 4-11-7 for a total of 22. Canes 8-11-10 for a total of 29. So at least they held them sort of in check for Carolina at least, but still, they just couldn't get those high-quality chances in the third period when they needed to turn it on. I kept looking over at Sam, and I'm like, it's only 12 minutes to go. They got to do something. It's only 10 minutes to go. They got to do something. It's only 8 minutes to go. They really need to get something going here. And then they give up that other goal, and, man, 4-2 deficit. No bueno. No bueno. So, we got Short Sky here from Game Day Live, and, of course, The Big Show, and, of course, Nick Villano here from Pucks and Pitchforks. Everyone was all in there watching the game. I was in a couple different seats, I got to say. Sam Wu forgot to get me. Remember yesterday how Friday he totally redeemed himself? Well, he's back. Can we say he's not here? So he's back on the shit list again because he forgot to even.
We're cursing. All right, let's go.
Forgot to even get me a ticket this time. So yeah, but no. Either way, It was great to just be in there. The fans really brought it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously after that fourth goal, they kind of made for the exits, but
yeah, too many.
the fans were there for support. I mean, it was absolute madness, you know, this afternoon out here on Edison Place, and there's still a lot of fans out here partying downstairs as well. American Whiskey, we're up here at the old beautiful attic. You ever want to rent it out for a party yourself? You know, you can do it. There's
It's
our
a
man.
nice space.
There's our
It is
man,
a great space.
Nice
Frank the
space.
Tank over there in the background. You know, he runs things around here. We get you a deal. We get you a deal. You'll get you hooked up with old Frank the Tank over
deal
there.
will fall
Y'all
off the
should
truck.
get married.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
For real. Like, this
It's
is a
looking
sad
good.
occasion, but let's get some happy occasions up here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a nice spot up here. The partying's going downstairs with Alejandra and Valentina and the rest of the crew. So if you hear us down there, make sure you tip your bartenders. Be nice to them. Met Matt Freudenberger. There's Wimpy over there. Ted's here. We saw Tom before. Who?
That's Rick. Rick and Julie. over
Rick
there.
and Jewel. Okay. Got a lot of people
They've been
popping
here
in
since
here.
the start.
So
They've
it's
been here since before the podcast.
It's nice to meet everybody, but again, we're talking about this game. So, fellas, tell me, you know, what went wrong today after so much went right in the double overtime? You know, what went wrong today from your perspective?
I want to know what Schwartzkite thinks of Jacob Markstrom because I don't think it was a good game from him. So I kind of want the goalie's perspective of what that was. Because I got yelled at on Twitter because – or whatever the hell it's called. I don't care. I got yelled at on Twitter because I said that first goal looked bad. It's like, well, he's blocked. Okay, like I get it. Like, but it was such a soft shot. It was not a hard shot.
No,
So
but
I'm kind of curious what your thought was.
it
on
looked
this
like there
one.
was a screen in front. It looked like there was at least 2 to 3 players in front of him,
Yeah.
which is difficult, and it looked like the shot came kind of quickly, so it kind of surprised him, and that can account for that. Should he have stopped it? Yeah. You know, I think it's your best bet is to always make that first save, and then you're good for the rest of the game. But sometimes, like I was telling you guys downstairs, sometimes you do let one in early. It's not the end of the world. There goes the shutout pressure, and you don't have to worry. The second goal, it was one of those percentage things where he's playing that, you know, that it's a newer style from when I was learning to play, where you kind of go down and you cover most of the net and you've got that little spot by your ear. And I think all the really good shooters are just shooting to that corner to try to bank it off the head, essentially. And Slavin hit it. The third goal, I can't for some reason for the life of me remember it. But the fourth goal was on Markstrom.
Yeah.
The fourth goal was 100% on Markstrom. He should have stopped it. It snuck through. You know, it was also aided by I don't know whose stick it was that went right
I think it
into
was
his
Brent.
5-hole.
I think it was Burns. I think.
Just
I'm not sure.
that's
I
a
think it
heads-up
was-
play
Yeah.
on the Canes player, whoever it was, just to kind of jab at it. I think part of their game right now is to get him a little bit frustrated.
Mhm.
But I did notice with Markstrom, there was definitely a difference in his play when it was 2-0 and then when it was 2-1. I feel like he was playing bigger when the Devils finally gave
mean
him some goal
3-2?
support.
Because it was never 2-1.
3-1.
2-0,
3-1. Excuse me.
then
3-1.
3-0, yeah.
As soon as the Devils got that first goal, he seemed to play bigger. He seemed to play a little bit more aggressively, and he was coming out further. And that just shows that he, like with the goal support, he's a totally different goalie because he does get frustrated. And I know I did see him. I can't remember what period it was. I know it was right in front of me, so it was either the first or the third. He was poking at someone behind the net, like
Yeah.
after the play.
Yeah.
So it seems to be they're trying to get on him. But, you know, you always want to make that, going back to what you originally asked with the, that first goal. If sometimes it's a defensive mistake that they're in front, and that was Siegenthaler and Hamilton, which I did see them towards the end of the game. I feel like Siegenthaler was expecting a pass from Hamilton one way, and Hamilton went the other way.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if those two players coming back, as they did in the last week, don't know what they're doing with each other. So that could be it too, because it just seemed like they were very close in that first goal as well.
Yeah.
What about the flip side of that? Because I see our man Wimpy. He's over here sitting about 10 feet away from us,
Yep.
but he's also, chiming in here on the
In the
YouTube chat. And what about, other than Timo Meyer, who was going hard in on the Carolina net?
They're not allowing it. And that's when you have good defenses. They're not going to allow you in. They're not going to allow you into the slot. When they're stepping up with you, and that's going to give the goalie all the time in the world to make the save and to cover the rebound. And they're not going to allow those guys to get in you, poke at your pads, and do this and that. And it's Burns is a big defenseman. He's a leader on that defensive core.
Yeah.
And when they're the one thing we were talking about off air was Carolina is very good at clogging the middle. And when you clog the middle like that, as the goalie, you know that you have all this support that all you have to worry about is where's the shot and how do I make the save.
Right.
And that is such I don't want to say an easy way to play goal,
Yeah.
but it's a calmer way to play goal.
Mm.
That all you need to do is focus on it's coming from that guy. You don't have to worry about there's going to be a backdoor pass here, there's going to be a deflection there. You just know the shot's coming from there or wherever it is. And it's just a calmer way to play goal.
So look at the 2 goals the Devils scored.
Mm-hmm.
It was Nico Hischier, who was it a block shot that he took? I'm trying to remember.
No, it was kind of like
was a
broken
rebound?
up, and it almost deflected to the slot where he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was probably like 10, 15 feet from the net. He wasn't like
He was-
right up on.
No, but he was below the hash, but it was close.
Yeah. So it was in between the dots.
Mhm.
It's kind of like where his shot was, and then the second goal was Timo Meier from a bad angle and just surprised Kachekov.
Yeah.
That's not how this team wants to score. I think they want to score sometimes like that with Bratt and with Nico and with Meyer, like sometimes where they get a really good shot, or even with like Hamilton or Luke Hughes when he plays.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, especially with that bottom 9, which is such a weird thing to say, but like I think that they want I just look at how Stefan Nason played today, and he had the puck on his stick so much, and I don't think it's what they want. They don't want Stefan Nason to have the puck. They want Stefan Nason to be in a position to take advantage of a rebound, to take advantage of a passing opportunity and do like a tip in,
Dirty
a
goal.
one-timer. Yeah, just like kind of get there. But I saw Stefan Nason with the puck on his stick, which means that he had to find one of his teammates to try to get them back in position and then get himself back in position. And Carolina doesn't play a game that allows you to have a lot of possession time in the offensive zone.
No.
Like they're chaotic. They get in your face. They tip the puck away, and it shows that the Devils haven't been able to adjust to that style of play. They did really well in Game 3. They beat them in hits, they beat them in shots, they beat them in all these different stats that they need to beat them in. And then when you see them come in the first period today and just get I swear I could have made this team in the first period. Like, they were dreadful. Like, true. Like, I was like, I think we were 12 minutes into the game, and I said, have they had possession since that first flurry where they had those 2 shots in the very beginning of the first period, and then they allowed the goal, and then the goal deflated them. Let me ask you this. Is it an issue? Whose fault is it that this team deflates? Like, I can't even deny it. Like, I feel like it happens all the time where they deflate. And you kind of mentioned it with Markstrom. They got the first goal finally. He's like, all right, now I'm ready. Like, we're in this, But, like, why do you need that? Like, you're a professional hockey player. You know what I mean? Like, this is the NHL. This is the Stanley Cup playoffs. I don't understand why this team seems to not believe until it's proven to them. Like, I don't need proof of cause. I need you to just believe that it's going to happen. I don't care if you're down 3-0. Believe you're going to come back. This is the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is do or die.
Right.
Carolina's terrible on the road and amazing at home. Like, this is when you need to steal a game.
These are the opportunities, yeah.
So I don't. What's going on there?
That's a tough one. It's got to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, because you would say that at this point, this is the NHL. These players should have this in them to do it. Is it on the coaching staff for not doing enough to motivate them? I know on Carolina's side, do you really want to piss off Brendan Moore behind you? Because I wouldn't. Look at his face. He looks like he doesn't care what happens to him. He's gonna punch you even harder.
I always wanted Brendan Moore. Like, he never became available, but before Keith came
almost
here,
last year.
right? And that was the conversation. I was like, replace Ruff with Brendan Moore. Like, I thought he was that guy. I think he's a great coach.
He makes you run through the wall.
Right.
You have to run through the wall. There's no question.
This team just needs. I don't understand. And we talked about this before the game.
Yeah.
I don't think Keith's not the guy, but I do think Keith needs somebody to be the bad guy. Or maybe not the bad guy's not the right word, but he needs somebody to be the
a-hole.
Yeah. Like
Good cop, bad cop?
And
Yeah.
I'm not saying like a Tortorella type, but like maybe one notch below that.
Yeah,
And
Tortorella's too far to that extent. But someone that you know that if you don't do your job, you don't want to hear it from him.
right, like when you hear him talk, you're like, bag skates are coming. Or you know, like suicides,
Yeah.
sorry, whatever they call them now.
Same
you know,
thing.
it's you need a guy who's kind of puts a little fear into these players because these players don't have fear. They spent however many seasons with John Hines, who's a
Yep.
player's coach, and they spent however many seasons with Lindy Ruff, who's a player's coach. So you come in here to a locker room who's kind of like run the show, and I think Sheldon Keefe is a good space in the middle. He has a fantastic system. I think his system is one of the best in the NHL. You saw how he got Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes to play defense at an elite level, both of them. Like,
Right.
I was arguing that in this podcast that Jack Hughes should be in the Selke Trophy conversation just because of the story that's around it. But there's like a clear, I don't want to say lack of motivation because I don't know that. Like that's a little too far. But
There's something wrong.
there's something off
Yeah.
where they turtle. Like I don't think you can deny that when the going gets tough, they don't get going all the time.
Is that on the coach, though, or is that on the team?
I guess that's what I'm asking. Like,
Because
do
they
the players need to motivate themselves? Is that a Nico Hischier thing as the captain? Is that a
Because, like you said, there
Jack
was
Hughes
Hines, there's Ruff, there was a little bit of Travis Green in there as well. There was a little bit of Nasruddin as well. You know, now we're on to Sheldon Keefe. So, you know, they had Burnett here, too, in an assistant role as well. So, like, how many that's a lot of coaches to come
Which
through.
Burnett has that reputation. Like, he has the reputation. Like, he saved their season last year because he took away their trip, right, or something like their. So like he has this reputation of being not Tortorella, not Quenneville or whoever, but like he has this reputation of being a guy who
Will be
doesn't
the jerk.
take it. Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's the players. Just thinking back to what I've seen of Markstrom and his body language over the last 10, 15 games of the season, that when they were like the games like I think it was the Anaheim game where the Devils just couldn't do it. He lost it. One of the games here, he broke his stick, against the post. I want to say that might have been the Canucks game. I feel like that it could be the players that he's pissed at them because he doesn't see them giving 100%. And, that can come down to the veterans that are on this team that are supposed to be potentially doing this.
Yeah.
The Palats, the Hamiltons. Those guys are supposed to be the ones that are supposed to kick these younger players in the butt and say, hey, guess what? This is not how you do it here.
Right.
The Pesci's.
Halla.
These guys are supposed to be the ones that are kind of kicking the young guys in the butt, saying like, no, we're going home, and you don't deserve to go home. You deserve not to go home, but you're not playing well enough to stay here either.
Here's my other question too: is how long are they going to be young guys? Because most of these guys have been in the league more than like 6 years now. They all started when they were 18. So to us, they all seem like they're, young babies. Oh, so cute. But the reality is they've been in the league for quite some time now. They've had playoff success.
But have they learned?
That's what I'm saying.
Have they learned? Like, they may have been in the league for a while, but I think we've all had those coworkers that have been at our jobs, and you're like, why are you still making that mistake? Like, what? You've been here how long?
But when are they not? Oh, these are just young kids and they have to learn.
These are at some point it's going to have to be like, put up or shut up. There's
I don't
31
think
other
you
teams you can go to.
I don't think this team can miss the playoffs again for the next 5 years. I think that if they miss the playoffs with this team, like, you have to make core
Changes.
adjustments.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that is.
Right.
It would depend on who messed it up or who. But you've constructed a core that I think makes sense, right? And you added the piece that is Timo Meier, which I will defend Timo Meier until the day I die because I think
he's playing great. He's playing great.
I think he's Matthew Tkachuk without the reputation. Without a little less offensive.
The way he's playing right now. No.
Do you want to come on Hockey on Tap on Monday?
That's
and you can just go after Billy Dean because he loves throwing that at me. Like, oh, what about that contract? It's like, shut up.
Contract's great.
It's
Contract's fine.
Yeah, and you have a goalie that's making $11 million and getting you nowhere.
Listen, they traded for all of JT Miller. Like, the Rangers fans cannot speak of
I know.
and they gave away a pick that is going to be, like, I'm going to go on a tangent for real quick because I don't want to hear nothing from the Rangers because you gave away the Scott Niedermayer pick. Like, they're going to be in the top 5 next year, and you don't have a first-round pick. Vancouver's just stupid enough to trade it to Pittsburgh, and now Pittsburgh's going to get another top 5 pick.
Yep.
Paired with Sidney Crosby. They might get Gavin McKenna. Like, I think the Rangers are going to bottom out.
Good.
But anyway, that doesn't even matter.
Couldn't happen to a better team.
Right.
Michael Rossi here brings up a good point, though. Is it that young core that we're talking about, or is it those veterans that we were just talking about that if it does ever come down to that, who would you move? Do you move someone from that core, or do you move one of those veteran pieces out, like a Palat, a Doug? Now they have very big salaries, and it'll be hard to do.
I think they're going to do it anyway. I think that that's another conversation.
That would be the cutting losses like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, like you got to cut the fat. And Plot's like, no offense to the guy, like I think he played well tonight.
He played well today.
He did play well
But
tonight.
he didn't score.
But
he didn't make an offensive play.
The entire season wasn't that way. You can't just wait until the playoffs. You know, we were looking for that leadership throughout the entire season.
He does these things that make so much sense to be with that line, but then he does 10 things that don't. And like you need more consistency from a guy like that. And I think there's teams I think Anaheim's going to trade for a guy like that because I think Anaheim's looking for that type of player.
We'll have to retain some of that contract.
I don't even think you will.
I think he's got a no movement clause though too, or something.
I have to check if there's changes that are happening. I don't know if it's this offseason or next, but
it's with him. There's something that kicks in either this season
either
or next
it's a
season.
15 team or there's some
either way
opening.
they probably have to go through him to say, hey, we want to move you. We're going to move you to a team.
And guess what? If he says no, then buy him out. And then he's gone because there's a certain amount of addition by subtraction. I think they're going to buy out Holla because it's a lot easier to buy him out. Again, like if you got the Holla from the last 2 years, I'm totally fine with it. But he fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
And like you can't have passengers on this team anymore.
Yeah.
Because you have 6 of them
at
any given moment.
You have passengers on this team, and you get what you're getting right now. Just
right.
This
A passenger team loses 5-2 in the playoffs.
Ineptitude of the playoffs.
Carolina's not a good team. You're losing 5-2 to them at home.
Yeah, we should be doing better against them.
And that's the thing. And I will reveal that there's some people in my network that are asking, like, what about Fitz? Like, it's Fitzgerald.
That's another one.
I think he's safe. I'm going to go on the record. I think Fitzgerald has nothing to worry about. I think ownership likes him. And I think Fitz is a good GM. I think he saw a problem last year and then spent the entire offseason fixing it. But what happens when you do that is that's all the only players you got. You know, you got Pesci, you got Kovacevic, you got Cotter, you got Nason, you got you spent so much time fixing the grit factor of your team. And this team's gritty. They hit a lot. They Paul Cotter broke the record for Devils hits. I think that was like an asterisk because I don't think they tracked hits until 2006 or something like that.
Yeah, so it's like a new record.
Right. Since the lockout, he has the most hits of any Devils player. But still, that's still impressive. 20 years of Devils hockey, and he's had more hits than anybody else.
Otherwise, it would be top 3 would be the crash line.
Right.
Or tied.
It's Peluso. there's so many other guys.
Yeah.
Peluso,
McKay,
But it's not like they haven't. Like they've had Clarkson here. They've had some guys that were big hitters. But I think. You need 3 things this offseason. And I hate to talk like the season's over, but I just don't see them winning 2 games in Carolina. I just don't.
It'll be tough.
Yeah.
If they do it, it'll be.
I'm going to root like hell. But it's so when you go into this offseason, you need 3 major pieces. And that's what Washington did this year. They got Chishrin, they got PLD, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and they got Logan Thompson. I don't think they need a goalie, but you need 3 pieces. And I think you can make them all forwards, or the problem is that you're stuck on defense, right? Like, Tom Fitzgerald put himself in a box on defense, and you can't upgrade. So this is what your defense is. Is it good enough? It can be.
I mean, 3 guys did get hurt in this series. We do have to take that into consideration, too.
But even when they weren't hurt, in January, did you think this defense is good enough?
That's a tough one. I thought they were in the beginning of the season before January,
in
and then
December,
once
they were the best team in the league.
after that Christmas break hit, they just
Yeah.
took a bit of a nosedive there. That was the start. It was like 2 different seasons in
Right.
one.
And I think you have to. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, could you say that there was a difference in the defense after Markstrom got hurt and before Markstrom got hurt?
There's definitely part of that. I think Markstrom was under siege.
He
for
was.
January.
No, he was. But there was something with this defensive core that just it looked really good. It's like everything else we've talked about on air and off air. There's just some of it's just unexplainable.
Do you start Jake the Snake in Game 4
No.
No.
or 5? I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
No, because we've seen the way this team reacts to playing with him in net.
Yeah, he
Sometimes
has a
they
losing
look-
record, which is wild.
They look
'Cause
worse.
He has better numbers than Markstrom.
Yeah.
What is losing record?
He's got a lot of shutouts,
What is he,
yeah.
like 10-12-1 or 10-12-2 or something like that?
It's you keep Markstrom in net.
You do make changes though.
You have to make
I
Do
changes.
you
think
bring
you
Sprong
go-
back in? Do you bring Lazar in?
Do you bring Casey in?
Do you bring Seamus
I
Casey in?
think you have to go offense, and I would consider Casey. I don't, especially if Kovacevic and Luke Hughes are out.
Does that mean you take Cholowski out and you
Yes,
keep
absolutely.
Nemitz in?
Like Cholowski was.
What if
You keep Nemitz and Casey in the lineup?
what if you put
Yes.
Casey on the wing
You don't put them together.
like
No.
like Brendan Smith?
I'm going to write about this weekend. No, I
Like
think
Swiss
that
Army knife, Brendan
Casey's
Smith.
a forward. Casey's a forward. He
You-
plays like a forward.
You can put him at wing.
I just don't
That
think.
would be a wild change.
I think you could do it. I don't think they will. But I
No.
think they should have him practice as a winger all offseason. Because I think putting him on the third line next year. Here's the thing. Like, you look at what they already have coming in next year. Gritsik, I think, is an NHL player. Or Sonny Gritsik from the KHL. But I think he's like a pure scorer, not a lot of defense, but like, you can get like
I'll
a
have to play defense under this system.
right. Like, listen, like I think he's like an
But
Alexander Semin type.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Maybe like a poor man's Semin or maybe like an average Semin, like whatever. Like I think you get a 20 to 25 goals from him, so that like replaces a lot of the goals. You got Haminaho, who might make the team. Like he's actually really, really good. The second round pick from I think 2023. He's really good. He was playing I think it was the Finnish league this year. He has a lot of style that's like NHL fourth liner. So like I think he might make the team, but even if he doesn't, you're looking at guys like, you're just trying to add impact. And there's a lot of no impact. There's so many players who like again, I could speak highly of Nathan Bastian,
Right.
but at the end of the day, the impact is so muted.
He's replaceable.
He's replaced. I mean, especially with LaChance now in the system and
Yeah.
signed. I think that's
You have LaChance.
writing is on the wall there.
Would you rather like I did a deep dive on Brian Hallinan today, just because I was like I don't get it, and like a lot of people don't get it. So let me like figure it out. And what I came down to is that he allowed 2 goals while he was on the ice, and the Devils just kind of like you're an NHL player. But I don't think that that's true. Like what I mean? Like I think that he was I like look back to the goals. It's like you're kind of just a product of circumstance. One, he was like not in position. The other one, it was just a product of circumstance. You're just on the ice.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Right.
But when you're going through the motions of 82 games, I think the coaches are, or maybe I don't know who makes the up-down decision. I think it's fixed, but I'm sure Sheldon Keefe has a say in it. You're just being like, he was on the ice for 2 goals, and like we didn't score when he was on the ice. Like he's supposed to be an offensive guy.
Yeah.
Like there just wasn't a lot of impact. But when you look at what he's doing, they're getting more chances. They're low danger chances, but you just need chances.
There are more
man. You're-
chances,
yeah,
especially in the playoffs. You need whatever you can get. But it seems it's kind of funny you mention it. It seems like some players get more rope than others.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like, I think that Nason's getting a ton of rope.
Yeah.
What has he done this playoff series?
And Sam's favorite player's gotten a ton of rope.
Nemitz.
Nemec has got a ton of
Nemitz
rope.
has got
and
a ton.
he's made some bonehead mistakes.
Nemitz?
Young-
You think Nemitz has made?
Yeah.
Well, during the season,
During the
yeah.
season.
Oh,
during the
yeah,
season,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But he
He's
got a lot
played
of
well
rope.
these last 2 games, though.
I
will
think
say.
he's
The
been
last 2
great in the
games,
playoffs.
he's played well, but like he's one of those players where he got so
He still
many
gets a little deep
chances.
out of position. There are times where
For sure.
I'm like,
But
fall
that's
back,
not
fall back. Come
But he
on,
gets-
don't do
But that
that.
could be fixed in the offseason.
I hope so.
It's not going to get fixed now.
No,
but I
Yeah.
think it
no,
could be
no,
fixed in the
But
offseason.
he's one of those players that gets all these chances, like he's right back on there and doesn't not benched at all. But then some players, You make a mistake.
He definitely got benched though.
Yeah, not enough.
Again, he had a bad season. Like I defended
definitely
Nemeth to the end of the earth. But he's been great. I mean, great's like a relative term, but he's
been much better in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's an NHL player the last 3 games, like 100%. And like the Devils needed that. They needed an NHL
they need
guy.
someone to step up.
And the problem is, like, I mean, I just feel like Cholowski was terrible tonight. Like I hate to
not very impactful, that's for sure. I got to look up his minutes, but it wasn't very much.
Yeah, whatever minutes he played, he made a couple mistakes that didn't turn into anything because the forwards really like bail him out. But he made at least 2 turnovers in the defensive zone. And he just didn't. He didn't like you put Nemeth and Cholowski together to get off.
846.
Yeah,
that's not
nothing.
a lot.
That's nothing for a defenseman when everybody's hurt.
Here are your defenseman numbers. Dumoulin again. I think he's leading the Eastern Conference in ice time. 24-26. Dougie 22-31. Nemeth 17-51. Pesce 22-28. Siegs 1956, Cholowski 846. That's a huge drop. Yeah,
we rolled 5D tonight.
That's 11-minute difference there from Siegs. You know.
And here's the thing: is that you got guys who just came back. Like Siegenthaler wasn't supposed to be back for 2 more weeks,
right?
And you're playing him 20 minutes. Dougie Hamilton probably wasn't supposed to be back for a week from now.
He's
and
playing
you're playing
over
him 22
minutes.
Yeah. You know, and you got Dumoulin, who's what was he 34, 35?
Yeah.
24. What did you say?
24 minutes.
24
like
change,
that's just not.
And that's a guy who wasn't even on the team the whole year.
No.
Right. Yeah. And again, like I think Dumoulin's playing well. Like again, I think a lot of people were hating on Dumoulin because he didn't make he didn't take a shot when I think it was 3-2 or maybe it was 4-2, but he had a chance to take a shot and he made a pass and it got intercepted. But like, I think this is also part of it is that when you have like the Devils made a bunch of different moves to add players and Sheldon Keefe like can't find the right lineup. And what you get with that is that Nico Hischier sees a guy in a scoring position, just throws it to him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Brian Dumoulin, and Brian Dumoulin doesn't want to shoot. He would rather. He understands himself.
He's a defenseman. He's a defensive defenseman.
Right.
Yeah.
My shot isn't great.
Yeah.
I will throw it in an empty net.
Yeah.
I will
and hopefully not miss.
And hopefully not miss. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
he will a bit outside.
Throw it at the net, or he'll try to get like a tip, or he'll But when you give it to him, he's like, I have this.
This is not my game.
Lane.
This is not
but
what
I
do.
have to hit it perfectly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it might be a goal, but there's nobody there to tip it. There's nobody there to rebound. So he passed it because he's like, this isn't the best possible chance to score.
And I have to look too. They seem like they missed the net a lot tonight. When we had Chico, remember when Chico was on? What did he say?
Yeah.
Forget about the corners. He's like,
Just
shoot at the 4x6.
Yeah.
You know, like just get it there on net instead.
Carolina missed the net quite a bit too because I think they're trying to shoot high on Markstrom. I think that's what they're doing now. But going back to Dumoulin, it's at this point in the series, your team's down 2-1. Your team's down in the game. Sometimes you just got to throw it on net.
Yeah,
especially and this
you couldn't have 4 shots in the first period.
And this is on the player.
Bad.
But this is on the player in that situation because you got to know also you've got a goalie that came in halfway through the game. They're backup. Just like throw it on because it could just lead to a rebound because sometimes those shots that you're not expecting as a goalie, sometimes you don't handle them well.
Yeah.
I know these are NHL goalies and it's different, but sometimes like if you're not expecting Dumoulin to shoot and maybe his shot's not all that great, you're like, you kind of misplay it.
Yeah.
And there's a rebound.
Yeah. Look at
shots at this point of the series and at this point in the playoffs are just put shots on goal.
What it was back in 2012, right? Didn't Bryce Salvador somehow become like an offensive monster there in the playoffs?
That, yeah.
He had like 15 points or something like that in the playoffs. That wasn't his game.
No.
But he was just they were doing the swarm it up, and he was getting the puck on net and good things were happening. So
sometimes all you got to do is shoot, which they're going to have to really there's nothing left to lose for Tuesday night.
There really isn't. And I don't know if you could really put it on Dumoulin too. I mean, you're not expecting to have Luke go down. You're not expecting to have Kovacevic go down. And that's really part of their game, the offensive side. Obviously, Brendan Dillon, you son of a bitch. He's more of your defensive defenseman. But that's the O side of it is not Dumoulin's game.
You've got all of those pairs that have played together almost all season are no longer with their partners.
Yeah.
And it shows. Hamilton and Siegenthaler are not comfortable playing together right now.
Yeah.
And Pesci's lost his longtime partner from the season. Like the whole defensive core is playing with different players, and that's hard too.
And Sheldon Keefe said I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, but that Pesci is very hurt. So
he looked at in that when he got that delay of game the other game. I mean, but the dude is a warrior. He is out there like giving it his all.
Yeah. So I think when you like look at it on paper, the Devils have not one of their starting 6 healthy.
Right.
So Kovacevic
out,
Hughes
out, Dylan's out.
Hamilton just came back.
Just came back.
Siegenthaler
just came back.
Pesci
hurt.
Putting it together with
tape,
with chewing gum and Scotch tape.
We're gonna hear. Oh, he was playing on a broken ankle
Yeah.
there for the last 3 games.
His patella tendon is in 17 pieces.
all of Matt Sundin, his ankle's been bolted back together.
Right, like you know, you're looking at these players, and this is a defense and the defense isn't the problem. They're not scoring, but you're still playing with the defense. You needed and I said this in the pregame show. You need offense from your defense.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be aggressive with your defense to get to the net, but I just don't think they're capable of it. I think Nemitz is the only guy who's healthy.
Yeah.
And you saw
Dougie doesn't look confident as much. Siegs, I will say, he looks pretty. He's taken a couple penalties, but he looks really good out there.
And he's played really well. His numbers are really good.
Dougie doesn't look like he's like comfortable, like there, back, like I'm Dougie Hamilton mode right now.
And Siegs doesn't know what he's going to do, it looked like.
Yeah.
It's just, it's tough.
The thing about Hamilton, and I did the research. Well, I mean, but that's not even it, because last year, 2022-23, Hamilton was one of the best defensemen in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Defensemen don't come back from pec injuries well. Matt Dumba's career is ruined because of a pec injury. He went from one of the top young defensemen to worthless, and he got a contract, but he's still in the league. But when was the last time you heard of Matt Dumba?
He's not what he was.
Not
I don't
what
even know
he
he's
was,
playing for anymore.
Right. I think he's in Florida somewhere. One of the Florida teams. I don't. But again,
was he in Florida? Or was he in Dallas?
Or maybe he's in Dallas. Again,
this is it.
He's not good enough to care about.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that you're looking. So I did a lot of research on the Devils shooting this year. Their miles per hour in their shot is down a full 2 miles per hour. And this was a while ago. This was in February or March. But again, I don't think it got better. A lot of that is Dougie.
Yeah.
Dougie went from top 5 hardest shot in the league to kind of average for a defenseman.
Yeah.
And the drop off from that to that, that's why he's not getting tip-ins. That's why he's not getting a lot of assists, because it's kind of a powder, for comparatively, it's a powder puff shot.
Yeah.
Where it went from, everybody was you kind of get tight.
Mm-hmm.
You're a goalie.
Yeah.
When you know the guy's got a rocket, you're kind of all right, I got to just prepare for
but
it.
it's not even the goalie. It's the forwards and defensemen in front
Them
of them.
too, yeah.
They're the ones that are.
You don't want to block a 110 mile per hour shot.
And they're the ones as the goalie. You look at them what are you doing? It's just a shot. Just let it hit you. I'm the jerk. I'm the idiot that allows it to hit me, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's everyone else that's afraid of shots. That are not stepping up, but now they're going to step up into him knowing that his shot isn't as strong, and they're not going to be worried.
Yeah.
And now you don't have to worry about, are they going to step up? Or because if they step up and they cower, it's kind of like a half. And it could be tipped. It's kind of like a half screen.
And we need production from someone other than, Nico, Timo, and Jesper. Everything else has kind of just been a crapshoot.
And you know what else that means? We haven't had a football call in forever.
We haven't had a football call in forever. But, I think Hall has got an assist. I think Mercer's got an assist. No, he's got the goal.
Mercer had a goal, the other night.
Yeah.
Second
but, once you get down to that third and fourth line, it is
I will say
very
this.
slim pickings.
I want you to remember the year that Jesper Bratt missed training camp for a contract negotiation, and how bad he was, and then how good he's been since then.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Mercer just never got out of the gate. He never got out of he missed the first. It wasn't only a week, but it's a week of a brand new coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming in and trying to catch up the entire time, and I just think he just lost confidence, or there's a lot of things about Mercer's game where it's just that's just a boneheaded play. That wasn't his game last year, or that definitely wasn't the game 2 years ago. But even last year, that wasn't his game. It was boneheaded plays.
Right.
This year, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I think that, like, coming in full off season, your contract is settled. You don't got to worry about anything but training for the Devils and being on the Devils, unless he gets traded. But I don't know who you're training him for.
Right. The value's not really high right now.
If you go online and go on Twitter, you can trade him for,
Quinn Hughes.
Marner, Quinn Hughes, and McDavid, all in the same.
We'll give
you Dawson trade.
Mercer and Nate Bastian for Mitch Marner.
Yeah.
We get that done.
Dawson Mercer is going to be traded to the Leafs, who are going to trade the Devils Marner, and the Oilers are going to trade McDavid and a player to be named
They
later.
might get a first-round pick.
A player to be named
It's
later.
like, we got these 2 second-round picks. We could do something big
Yeah,
with
And
them.
cash considerations.
Yeah, cash consideration.
We'll throw Adam Larson in as well. You know, what the hell? Why not?
Yeah, I think that.
And we'll throw in
and
Palat's buyout.
I actually have people texting me right now, asking me, like, is the core screwed? Like, I think that this fan base, and I'll end on this.
Everyone's trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Is it the
We're
core?
trying to
Is it
figure
the
it
young
out.
core? Is it the veterans? Is it the defense? Is it the coaching staff? No one
I think this fan base has
Notice who
been,
you didn't say?
I didn't say goaltending.
Nope, because it's not. Finally.
this fan base has been, quote unquote, lied to since 2019. 2019 was the year. We're ready. We got PK Subban, we got
Right.
Nikita Gusev.
Right.
It's over. The rebuild is over. We're here. We got the former MVP in Taylor Hall, and then we traded Hall. We had to just blow it up, and then we had 2 seasons of kind of like. One year we tried to win on goaltending, but the goaltending was Corey Crawford. They retired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
so excited
and
for him.
Mackenzie Blackwood, and then the Blackwood thing just went to hell. The goal, Vitek Vanacek had that great season, and he went to hell because he had a bad series against Carolina and the New York Rangers. Like, this team, this fan base has been through a lot. I just think that they're coming into it expecting the worst, and I think they just want change for change's sake because they just it just hasn't worked with this. Like, we were promised more than this.
Right.
And I would stress patience. I think Jack Hughes is
Be
Sidney
a big
Cros-
difference maker.
Yeah, Jack Hughes is Sidney Crosby middle class. He's middle class Sidney Crosby. You know what I mean? He's not poor man Sidney Crosby. He's not that low, but he's like, a 90 to 115 point player every single season.
If he stays healthy, hopefully.
Yeah,
If he
Going
but that
forward.
was the Sidney Crosby thing in the middle of his career, right? Like, can he get over these concussions? This is the shoulder thing. It's a
true.
different thing, but they're both recurring, right? You have to change the way you play a little bit.
Change the doctors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nico Hischier is fantastic. He's a fantastic player. Timo Meier, I think, is exactly what this team needs. He just didn't score this year. And, that's kind of random. So you kind of have to, I think he'll do better next year. Jesper Bratt is one of the most underrated players in the league.
Yes.
I don't think, you have to change any of those 4 players. And you got them all signed on pretty decent
Pretty damn
contracts.
good deals, yeah.
So he should get to resign soon. And you got to see what you're going to give Luke Hughes this offseason.
Yep.
But I think Fitzgerald did have a bad offseason last year where you really only needed one of Paul Cotter or Stefan Nason. You really only needed, I think he came in thinking Nolan Foote was going to be more than what he was.
Yeah.
And they made that mistake last year with I'm forgetting who it was, but they thought they were going to get more from their players. And I don't want to invoke this guy's name, but Michael McLeod getting arrested threw off their entire bottom 6 because they thought, this guy finally grew into being a first-round pick.
He was having his best year at the time.
We have
Yeah.
he grew into this player and he turned out to be what he was. I don't need to. We've done so many podcasts on this thing, but again, they've never replaced that.
Right.
They thought they were replacing it with Curtis Lazar, and he just never turned into
Curtis
that.
Lazar's falling off a cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
so-
another one. He's another one.
He's falling off a
So I
cliff.
think you need a bottom 6 center that's going to light it up, which is why I think just go all in on Ryan O'Reilly. Just get the guy. I know he's old, but he's still playing out of his mind. He's not going to let this team fall into the tank. He's not going to let Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier or any of these players, and I don't think they're the guys, but he's not going to let anybody be dejected. He's not going to let you sit on the bench and just be mopey.
He'll
Right.
make everyone accountable.
He's be like,
Yeah.
no, wake up. Because he did it to the Predators this year. The Predators are one of the worst teams in the league.
Right.
He was like, wake up. Steven Stamkos wasn't telling him to wake up. Jonathan Marchessault wasn't telling him to wake up. Roman Josi wasn't even telling him to wake up. It was Ryan O'Reilly be like, we have to play with pride.
Right.
And I think you need a guy like that. I think like the core is fine. You just have to build correctly around it.
Okay. I mean, makes a lot of sense when we hear it from our man Nick Villano here at Pucks and Pitchforks. State of the Fan address.
Yeah, every Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Boom.
Although, you might go to a Mets game on Wednesday. we should talk about that.
Make it preempted.
Mrs. Wu wants to meet Scotty for the first time.
Well, we'll see how it all goes
Yeah,
down.
Is
But
the
either way,
is the Hamburglar going?
possibly.
Mrs. Wu's mom?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because if the Hamburglar goes, you know who else has to go?
George Scott.
And Shorts guy or Grimace.
Yeah,
Grimace.
Grimace.
Oh, yeah, that's-
Grimace has got to go.
Grimace has to go.
Oh man. Well,
Who's the bird? I always forget the bird's name. There's like
man.
the four. It's Ronald
Yeah.
McDonald, Grimace, Hamburger, and there's the freaking bird.
there's a bird.
Yeah, there
It's a
was.
bird.
There was. I
It's-
can't
it's the
I
remember.
thought there was
girl.
like the Big Mac guy that was like the sheriff.
There was that guy
Well, yeah,
too.
and Mayor McCheese. Like but there's secondary characters. The core
McMoon.
four is Ronald
They
McDonald.
came in after a couple seasons.
Grimace,
You know, they weren't there. They were the
Hamburglar,
originals.
and the bird. you don't want to talk about Sam? You look at me like I'm crazy.
I don't remember.
You don't remember the bird?
If it's not a fish fillet, Sam doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A fillet of fish. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is there a McFish guy or something
No,
like that?
there's not.
No.
But Sam could be that guy.
I feel like the
Okay.
fish came later.
Okay. Well, tough loss again for the Devils here at home. We were all expecting more. Fans were hyped. We were all ready to go. And
You were hyped. You were loving it on the street today.
Oh man, I had so much fun. If you didn't get a chance to check out Game Day Live, which we really didn't do, we just let the camera go and the music play. I came up to Sam like, "Hey, we're gonna do a podcast." And he's like, "I'm not turning off this music now, buddy. We're just letting it roll."
Yeah,
Game
people were
Day Live
rocking.
was the atmosphere was Game Day Live.
Yeah,
it
that's
was.
all you needed.
Listen, we had Damon
yeah,
Moya.
yeah.
You know,
but
we
for, but once
yeah.
that was over, the atmosphere was Game Day Live.
I did say,
here
I was
is
like,
game,
we'll do our
and
prediction
literally,
later,
it was
and then later
Game
never
Day
came.
Live. We
Yeah.
were showing Game Day out there.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal.
It was a great atmosphere.
Yeah, Devils fans really brought it today. Unfortunately, the team just didn't fall through on this one.
Yep.
We had a great game on Friday night, but here they come up short, losing 5-2. And, oh, man, we didn't even get to talk about pulling Markstrom when he did. But either way, I know Sam is starting to get sleepy Sam eyes over here.
Well, I have a story.
Oh, you have a story?
here we go.
So, yeah,
Story time
so,
with Sam Wu.
Oh, boy.
So when you and I walked in the building, we walked in like in the second period. You're down, 3-0?
Yeah.
3-1 at that point. It was around that time. And I had Section 16 tickets.
Yes.
Frank the Tank.
Oh, Sam wants to talk about himself being on TV. That's what he wants to talk about.
No.
Now,
No.
Good job.
But
Why don't you make your hat a little bit larger?
but
just undo it. in the
let's
back.
expand it here a
Expand
couple
that
notches in the
Completely
back
do it.
here.
Let
But-
it grow. Let it grow.
when I walked down those stairs, just seeing the hope in those kids' eyes, and everyone's like, "The cookie's here! The cookie's here!" And then Timo Meyer scoring. That was
Yeah.
an amazing feeling to be in the costume.
That was.
The building was shaking
Yeah.
for the last
Every-
5 or 6 minutes of the second period.
The second period, I was up in the 200 section in the second period before Sam called me down into the nice seats where he's like,
Yeah.
hey, no one's sitting
Well, I
here.
called you guys down
Did
too.
you need a Sherpa?
I did. I did. But yeah, that place was it literally was like the building was shaking. It was a great atmosphere in there. So fun to be back here in New Jersey and to experience these two playoff games. And if anyone happened to see it right at the end, just want to send a special shout out to there was a young girl there who got hit with the puck
I saw that.
right at the
Oh,
end,
Awful.
and it was
right
like
in front of us.
30
Oh.
seconds to go, and it's bad when the linesman brings towels over and throws them over the glass for the
Yeah.
kid and everything. I felt so bad because that was such a random, and we didn't even notice because we just saw the puck kind of like go into where the players, the hallway there down to the locker room, and they're like, oh, give me the puck, and then all of a sudden we noticed this big huddle around this girl. So I hope whoever you are, you have a good recovery and you do go to another hockey game again.
Yep.
But man, that was just tough to. I was like, oh
It
man,
was tough to watch.
30 seconds to go in the game, and then that happens after this loss, and then that happens too. So,
Yeah.
best wishes and all the positive vibes out to that young lady for a good recovery because she did. It looked like she got it like right in the top of the head. So yeah,
That hurts with a helmet.
yeah,
That helmet
yeah,
is something else.
yeah. So sending all the love out to her.
Absolutely. All right. Well,
And Cookie Man over here.
Yeah.
What a way to end.
Yeah.
Well-
Terrible game.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, no,
Hey,
not this too.
should we make Beer Baron go solo on the big show in about an hour?
We should.
yeah, we should.
We should.
Yeah, we should get in the group text. Who's
I'm-
in?
I got hits to.
Beer Baron
care of.
just laments about the season.
All right, we'll see you later. Till
Thanks,
next
everyone.
time.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Let's go, Devils.